My name is Francisco Luz. I'm a career diplomat. I've been in foreign service for 40 years now. From the 12th of January, I complete 40 years in the foreign service. I've been posted in Argentina, Cuba, the US, South Africa, Mozambique, Tanzania, Jordan, and now Nigeria. So I've been in Africa for 18 years now. 18 years plus, and now I'm moving in the coming weeks to Bolivia for my next assignment. Nigeria was quite a great experience that is closing because the country is like a synthesis of Africa, no? Because you go to other countries, you feel okay, this is Africa, but it's not the. But when you arrive in Nigeria, then you feel that you have all the experiences here in the country. So it was quite important to know Africa better. Now I can really say that I really know Africa after 18 years. I spent 3 in Pretoria, 5 in Maputo, 6 in Dar es Salaam, where I was also ambassador to Comoros, the Seychelles, and the East African community that covers 5 countries of East Africa, 6 countries now, which is South Sudan. And then is my first experience in West Africa. That was quite interesting one and quite lively and never a dull moment here in Lagos. No?
Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment, really. And then we got COVID, so it was quite an experience because there are so many challenges, but there are also so many opportunities. And I think you have, if you sit and complain, you don't do anything. You really have to look to see what you can do, what are the best ways how to move around, how to. The people that you can trust. I think it's quite important. It's really a challenge, but I think at the end it's very reinvigorating. It's an unforgettable experience.
Yes.
I can say.
Talking about the experience, particularly those of us who are in the travel trade business, for those who want to explore Brazil, who want to have a cultural tie in Brazil to experience the carnival in Brazil.
Yeah.
Tell us about the visa
process. Okay. Yeah, I think Nigerians are always like the experience I had in the last 3 years, and people that go, they come back very soon. And now people start asking me, "Oh, give me a longer visa because I'm coming 2-3 times a year." I think they see in Brazil because of the very important participation of Africans in the formation of the national identity. Because Brazil is formed by the natives that were there, the ones that you saw on the photos and drawings at the auditorium, the European that arrived in the 16th century, the natives were there for 20,000 years, no? And then the Africans that arrived just immediately after the Portuguese arrived, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the French, and some Spanish also. So it's and then you can see in the food, in the music, in the arts, the influence of African culture, especially the Yoruba. That's very notable because of the religion, because of the Orishas. That it's not the same religion, because in Brazil the slaves came from many parts. Religion was what kept them together. So you can see that Yoruba language that is spoken in the Fá centers in Brazil, that are not really Fá, they are candomblé. So it's a mix from Benin, from Congo, from Angola. They brought many orishas from different and created its own. So if you listen to Yoruba orikis, the songs that they sing in the houses, it's old Yoruba. Nobody speaks like that any longer. No? So, but they kept like that and they preserved like a treasure. So they didn't want to evolve because they lost contact. So they preserved how the Yoruba language was in the 18th century, in the 19th century.
So let's talk about how seamless is the
So
tourism.
and this attracts lots of curiosity, and curiosity generates tourism.
Yes, curiosity
People
generates-
want to see their roots, because especially for the returnees from the Aguda. So they want to, sometimes they want to go look if there's still relatives living in Brazil. No? And the same from our side. No? They want to look for their roots here. No? Now with these DNA tests that you do, okay, I'm 100% African, so the guy, and then they can say, oh, he's African from that region, from no roots. So they start coming and looking. I think this is it's quite important. These links that we have because of the infamous slave trade. I think it will bring the societies together again in a different level, no? As equals, not.
They could peek into the Yoruba that you mentioned. We
Yeah.
are told that you are given a security title.
Oh yeah,
So
Now,
Jogo
let me put it this way. How do you feel being appointed as the Jagomolu of Oloje now? Not just that, because with the way it is and with the way we see it, you broke the record as the first diplomatic person in Nigeria to be appointed as a chief or be given a chieftaincy title in Nigeria. How do you feel, and how does it collaborate with what happens in Brazil? Talking about,
I think for me it's quite an honor, and now when I announce to people that I live in Bogota, now that you have the title you're living. So, but that's diplomatic life. No, we live in chapters. No, so every now and then, every at least 3-4 years, you have to close and start a new chapter of your life. And I think for me, receiving this title was a great honor because of this. Is that my work was acknowledged to allowing these links, to foster these links between our societies, to receiving people here, receiving Brazilian delegations, helping Nigerian delegations go to Brazil through the visa process that sometimes was not easy, but we're trying to make it easy. Even you see today we process the visas for it arrived. I requested yesterday morning. It arrived yesterday evening. The authorization because they know that is something. This trip is supported by the consulate. So it's the only way for us to expedite this is to know the people that are going. No?
Yeah,
To avoid, because there was so much mistrust from the 90s, from the time that Valeg is here, and you know, the good people always pay for the bad ones, no?
Yes.
And this stays, no? The mistrust that had at the time, but now the only way to break this is through
Synergies.
fostering these links, looking for synergies, doing movie co-productions, bringing Nollywood together with, we don't have a Brazilwood, but it's global.
But why is it that when you're talking about culture is well emulated and appreciated within the Brazilian region than we, the real custodian of culture here in Nigeria? Why is it that way?
No, I think now, because the African religions in Brazil were mostly a resistance movement. So this is the way for them to feel themselves, no? Not it's outside the master-slave relationship. So they needed something to keep them together and to say, okay, we have culture, we have pride. And now that from this movement started, I think, in Brazil to come back to Africa with President Lula when he took office in 2003. for the first time. It started growing. He created the Palmares Foundation, which the symbol is the third Oni, is the sculpture of the third Oni. They believe it's Zumbi do Palmares, but it's not. No? So now they start looking for the real. They are trying to look for the real roots of their beliefs. So they're coming back, and they go to Abeokuta, they go to Oshogo, they go to Ile-Ife, and also to Oyo. Some of the houses are linked to the late Alafin. Some houses are in Rio, especially, is linked to the Oni. So it's they are trying to look for this now, and I believe we have around 20 million followers minimum.
Wow.
In Brazil.
Okay, let's quickly digress a bit. Let's talk about the crusade relationship between Brazil and Nigeria. You've been here for quite a while.
Yeah.
What are the kind of the Nigerian delicacy I've never tasted? Can you share that with your audience?
Well, I tried, of course, jollof, egusi.
Jollof rice?
Yeah, jollof many ways, with chicken, with fish, with goat. The egusi soup. And of course the suya, my favorite. Of course the suya, all kinds of kinds. I always go. Plantain chips also. It's funny that not many regions in Brazil they eat the plantain chips like they do here, but in the Caribbean it's all over. My second post was Cuba, and the plantain chips are.
So now coming to talk about the akara, because you only spoke about plantain.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the akara we're talking about. We were meant to understand that the akaras are meant for the orishas in Brazil. But here in Nigeria, akara is just meant what we eat akara with pap, with bread, with so many. So what can you tell us about?
No, the akara is not only for the dishes. They have maybe the pure akara on the Ifa houses are for the dishes, but it's a street food for us. No? Wow. And you have these ladies all dressed in white. With the collars and the headdress, selling the akara, but they serve the akara. It's much bigger. It's like a sandwich. They look like a burger bun, and they open and they serve with a crayfish paste, very spicy. You can ask, hot if you want very spicy or cold. Cold means that the food served hot but without chili. And if you go to Bahia, if you go to Salvador, you don't eat acarajé on the streets. And they are the famous ladies, no? Wow. Every time you go, there is a new one. Oh, this is the best one in town. Then you have to go. If you go as a tourist, if you don't eat acarajé in Salvador, it's.
So what are you likely going to miss most in Nigeria?
Huh?
What are you likely going to
miss? I think mostly the people, because the people is very hot, like us, no? Like Brazilians, no? So they're very intense, no? And they enjoy life. They love music. They speak loud. So
if I may ask, which is your best music? Which of the best tracks do you like about Nigerians?
No, I'm from the old times, no? So I like Fela, no? Fela and the Sons and King Sanyade. One of my first outings here, I went to see Sean play at the Hard Rock Cafe, and I arrived there at 8:30, and he came to stage at 1:30 a.m. After 10 bands. Then I have a show of many. From the new people, Wizkid, Burna Boy, Davido. My daughters enjoy more than me, because I think Fela is one of the greatest
artists.
Of the world. So if you have to pick an African musician, I think I compare him to Miles Davis in the same level in the African jazz to the American jazz.
Now, coming to talk about Nigeria, now, what is the worstest moment you will ever think of being in a, that you will ever regret that if I had known, I would not come to Nigeria?
It's difficult because I was in Africa 14. I spent 15 years before, so I have good and bad experiences everywhere. No? I've been stranded in the road in South Africa at night. My engine exploded. So it's, and you have a scare. Then a group of engineers passed and rescued us. We have minimum, but here in Nigeria, I never had a scare. Actually, I think but first, COVID diminished my
That's what
my movement. I didn't travel around as I would like. Then because of COVID, I stayed almost 11 months alone in this building. My wife and I, and the local staff, no other Brazilian staff, for 11 months.
So we are practically eating.
So I was doing, was not only consul, was accountant, I was communications officer, trade officer, cultural attaché. So it's, and this takes a toll on you, because then the first person that arrives in vacation, so you leave immediately. And after 11 months, I took 50 days vacation just to recover, because I was so tired, because during COVID, the consular affairs were limited to the people visiting family or emergencies or government officials. That was it. So it diminished a lot. But from last year, from February last year, it started back to the old days, no? So we are processing. Last year we processed 2,600 visas.
So how many weeks or months does it take to do your tourism?
That depends on the person, no? Because there is some fast-track visas, businessmen, cultural activities, organized work visas, family reunion, family visit. Because family reunion, when they go to stay longer than 90 days. No? Family visits, when they just, I'm going to stay 2 weeks there with my son and come back. So these visas, if all the documents are in order, it's around 2 weeks.
What about tourism visas?
Yeah, but regular tourism visas can take much longer. Depends on the documents. No? If everything is in order, and sometimes the checking takes.
So what I'm saying,
much
for
longer.
instance,
In general, normally is 21 to 28 days. Yeah.
Okay.
This is our target.
Okay.
From the person filling up the form until receiving the visa back. But for some people, sometimes one of the checks they never come back. No, you have to call. Hey, what's happened? Yeah, what's happened to that document?
Fine. How do you now feel?
Yeah.
We were made to understand Brazil was 200 last year.
Yeah.
Now, how did you feel as one of the ambassadors and one in Lagos, which is very important in Africa, to celebrate 200 years in the grand style?
Yeah, I think that was quite important, just especially to highlight the cultural influence of the Yoruba culture in the formation of the national identity. I think that was quite important, and to have not only Diony but other kings, president, the wife of the governor, who herself is Aguda from the Karena family. I think that was quite important, and that was due. I think because of COVID, involved in graduation and postgraduate studies. And now with the State Fund FARA project, they are planning this year. I think we gave 50 something student visas under this program, and the target is 150 every year. And yesterday I learned that the University of Brasilia is creating a new program that will take 580 students for 39 countries, and Nigeria is top 10
Wow.
on the list. Mozambique is first. Mozambique, Angola, because they speak the language, so it's easy for them to
speak.
to go. So because the other countries they have to go if they don't have previous Portuguese language training, they have to stay 6 months doing immersion course on Portuguese, so they can continue. There's very few courses, only postgraduate studies that you can do in English.
So now, to wrap it up, the Yoruba, descendant that you mentioned earlier on, Your Excellency, which, do you speak Yoruba?
No, just some words, just like Ashe.
That's the
No.
name.
Yeah. So it's like just greetings and the problem is Yoruba. It's a tonal language, and for us in Brazil, in Portuguese is completely atonal. That's varies from region to region. And so see if it's Ashe, so you never know Ashe. So it changes completely the meaning of the. Actually, what I know is mostly words. Here for not teaching me. I speak quite a good Swahili. Because I spent 6 years there in Tanzania.
Okay, Tanzania.
Yeah, you can speak in South Africa in the northern areas, especially in the markets. In the markets, you can speak Swahili in Kinshasa. But here I never got, because there in Tanzania, the whole government is in Swahili. You go to events, local events, everything's in Swahili. So if you stay there, you don't say what's saisi, what's this. You don't. You have to understand the basic meaning what they're talking about.
Yes.
Otherwise, you don't benefit from the. So I studied like 8 months with a teacher, and then as soon as I was comfortable, then I was just learning specific terms. I have a dictionary for diplomatic Swahili and legal Swahili.
Wow.
So to learn this is, but it was quite interesting. So you understand when you speak the language, you understand the mindset. And I think Yoruba, these tonal languages, they are very rich. I think they're too complicated for a Roman. Big empires, they tend to simplify the language, like English.
So as a diplomat, if you want to pay tribute to the famous Pele, to Nigerians, those who know how they feel. Who was Pele? Who was Pele?
I think Pelé for us, it was our biggest ambassador abroad ever. Before 1958, I think very few people knew about the country. And then when Brazil won the first World Cup in Sweden in 1958, and he was the youngest player to score. He was barely 18, and he became a hero immediately. In '62, he played just a couple of matches in Chile, but the team still won. And then in 1970s, then he became an idol and all over the world. And when he went to the US to play for Cosmos, from New York Cosmos, then he brought soccer, football to the Americans. And I think his demise was felt all over the world. I received so many messages of commiseration and condolences. And I think the country, we are expecting, because he had been sick for almost a couple of years. It was expected, but when the day came, the country was still shocked. There was a 3-day national the flags were at half-mast, and his funeral was also televised live. I think he was. People don't realize, that. But not only from Brazil, but I think for Africa, because for being an African descendant, also I think he was really appreciated, especially in America, no? At the same level as Muhammad Ali, as Cassius Clay, the fighter. And at the time, they were the only ones at the time. Now you have Mbappe, now you have Neymar, you have so many. All over the world. In Brazil, you have Vinicius, you have Rodrigo. They're growing like this now. But the difference is that Pelé did all that way before them. And what they know is they learn from him.
Yes.
So this is the difference.
Thank you very much for talking to us.
You're welcome.